Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It is Premier League predictions time, and we are going to look at the FA Cup semi-finals as well. Welcome back, Mikey. Last week it was, and this week is welcome back to winning ways. You powered through. I mean, it was a little bit snail racing for a while, wasn't it? But a 7-3 win, and I'm going to give you kudos because you were bang on the nose of Bournemouth 2, Man United 2. It's never easy to correctly call it, Desmond. So well played and welcome, Mikey.
Thank you, Ben. Yeah, obviously the time spent on the beach getting some vitamin D, I've recharged the batteries and I've come back strong. Hopefully our beloved Ipswich Town are going to do the same. They've got a week off this weekend, haven't they?
I'm looking to get the win back. Mikey, I did do well, didn't I, last time we had FA Cup games? I've only got one championship team, and it's not like I know anything more than you do about Coventry anyway. So we will get to the FA Cup semis at the end, but we've got round 34 in the Premier League to contend with first. And that starts with a game between Luton Town and Brentford, two real heroes of championship promotion without parachute payments over the last few years.
Yeah, they're two very well-liked clubs, aren't they, in the Premier League? This is a bigger game now for Luton than it is for Brentford. This is kind of feels win or bust for the Hatters. Manchester City away last week, they were never expecting to get anything out of that. And just looking at the fixtures, that was their last probably unwinnable fixture. So the fixtures don't look too hard on Luton. They've got a chance. I think West Ham are the only team that they've got to face who are still in the top half. And West Ham are West Ham, aren't they? You're always going to have a chance against them. I think the goal difference is a bit of an issue for them now because they're obviously only 1 point behind Nottingham Forest, but it might as well be two. They're only 2 points behind Everton, but it might as well be three after that 5-1 defeat because the goal difference has now swung back in the favour of Forest and Everton. They've had quite a lot of injuries recently. They could have Samuel Lokonga and Mengi back in this game, but it's going to be too soon, unfortunately, for Adebayo and Ogbene. So he's starting to get some players back, Rob Edwards. He was trying to see the funny side ahead of the Manchester City game, talking about how many defenders he was missing, which was quite refreshing. Brentford, I think I make them safe now after their nervy win over Sheffield United. Ivan Toney, unused sub. Apparently it's a minor injury. Thomas Frank has charmed him in the press, saying that it's difficult playing without your best player. So he's still calling him his best player. So expect to see him in this game, maybe even from the start. Brentford won this fixture 3-1 at the G-Tech back in December. Luton badly need to win this game, but I just feel like they're going to fall short. I'm going to start this off with Luton 1, Brentford 1.
Always play you 1-1 early. By the way, talking about Luton, my Housery attempt at winning the bonus point, I said 4-1, didn't I? I believe Man City went 5-1 up in the 93rd minute of that game. So my Housery got me nowhere. I still would have lost, wouldn't I? No, the bonus point. Oh, I'd have lost by one. It would have been even more frustrating. But there you go. I was going to say 1-1, actually, Mikey. I had some kind of scenario of Luton really going at it, taking the lead, and just the most unhelpful draw. Maybe Brentford equalising midway through the second half. You've taken that. Which means I've got back Luton to win then, doesn't it? If I'm not taking the Desmond on this one. So let's take the equaliser out. So even though I prefer your prediction, I will back the Hatters to win and say Luton. Should I go 2-1 or 1-0? Let's go 2-1. Luton 2, Brentford 1. And what sort of derby are you calling this one then? Sheffield United versus Burnley.
This is the championship fixture last season and championship fixture next season derby.
Yeah, right.
Sheffield United really just looking to delay the inevitable, aren't they? But Burnley still holding out, trying to do the impossible. But they've had 4 wins all season, and they probably need 4 wins from their last 5 to have any chance of survival. The Blades would obviously like to avoid finishing last, and they can go above Burnley with a win here. And they also want to try and avoid conceding 100 goals in a season. It's currently 84 conceded at the moment with 6 games left. It's hard. It's going to be going to be tight, isn't it? It's going to be touch and go whether that happens. And I think that's one that Sheffield United fans will want to avoid because it's something that will keep coming up over the years. We know what it's like to lose a game 9-0 and still be hearing about it 30 years later.
Oh, yes.
I fancy the Blaze to do this, and I think this will be the final nail in the Burnley coffin. I think Sheffield United are going to win this game 2-1. I can see Ollie McBurney getting another goal at Bramall Lane.
2-1. Just to pedantically correct you, Mikey, it's a 4-point gap. So they couldn't go above Burnley.
My mistake.
Sheffield. No, not at all. Well, let me have something, being you beat me in the predictions every week. You've actually gone for a Blades win, have you? 2-1.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've got a hankering for Burnley in this one, having backed against them all the time. But when I'd done well against Sheffield United, it was big teams going to Bramall Lane, wasn't it? Is this going to be one of those silly ones where we're laughing and joking and saying, oh, the bottom two, they can't beat anyone, and when they play each other, they draw and they can't even beat each other? Should we go for that scenario then? Let's go for a silly Desmond, and unhelpful as ever, but I think I agree with you that it's just which game and which round, and when am I putting my video up to try and say hello to the Sheffield United and Burnley fans again, because we're going to be spending next season together in the Championship. Wolves beat Arsenal, Mikey. What on earth happened to Arsenal at the weekend?
Yeah, a real tough watch, that one, for Arsenal fans against Villa. They were just frustrated in the first half, and I was watching it on telly, and it felt like one of those games. It felt a little bit like the Leeds-Blackburn game, where there was so much pressure on them to score because they're like, come on, we've just got to find the net here. And maybe just they all looked a little bit panicked. Things looked a little bit rushed. And against a manager like Unai Emery, who can take a look at that first half and then come up with a plan for the second half and get his team to execute it brilliantly. And they were missing Douglas Luiz as well. Let's not forget. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Arsenal do have in their favour that they've got 2 games before Manchester City next play. So they can at least open up a bit of a lead at the top and just hope that that puts a little bit of pressure psychologically onto the shoulders of Manchester City. But they've got to win these 2 games. It's against Wolves and against Chelsea. And this game comes after playing against Bayern Munich. Who knows? They might have gone to Munich and claimed a famous Champions League victory that resurrects their season. They're suddenly full of confidence. I'm not so sure, though. I could see them getting knocked out. I can see Harry Kane scoring again. I expect to see Martinelli in this game because he hasn't been playing a huge amount, and I think that there'll have to be a little bit of rotation for this game at Wolves. I interviewed Theo Walcott yesterday. There you go. There's a name drop for you. He's expecting Arsenal to get back to winning ways here, but also thinks that this is exactly the type of game that Gary O'Neill will be taking incredibly seriously with the world watching. Wolves have just a top half finish to play for. They put a spanner in the works last week, didn't they, by getting that late point at Nottingham Forest. They're going to have a big say at both ends of the table, Wolves, because after this game against Arsenal, they've also got games against Luton Town, which could have big ramifications at the bottom, and they've also still got to play Manchester City. It's not going to be easy, this one, for Arsenal, but I'm going to back them to get back to winning ways in the league. I'm going for a 2-1 win for the Gunners.
I suck at predicting Wolves, but I also agree for the title race. I don't know why. Maybe it's being English and just embracing the underdog. I felt a national kind of, when both Arsenal and Liverpool lost at the weekend and Man City won, and you're kind of like, oh, I see what's happening. I see what's happening here. So, and just to address the space-time continuum transparency, it's Tuesday. So Mikey is right. Arsenal play at Bayern tonight as we record. So you'll know that result.
Wednesday night, yeah.
We do not, because this will come out on Thursday. So we're kind of prognosticating. I'm going to back Arsenal as well, same as you've done, even though I've been probably wrong with Wolves more than any other team, and the bar is not high. I'm going to go for routine. I'll go for a routine win for Arsenal, which is probably what all the Arsenal fans want and probably all the neutrals want as well. Let's say Wolves 0, Arsenal 2. And I know what you're going to call this derby. It's the minus points FFP deduction derby between Everton and Nottingham Forest. Huge game, Mikey.
Huge game, yeah. I've actually called it the Kevin Campbell derby, but both are right.
Far more sensible.
Either could be in the bottom three by kickoff if Luton win their game. So that's going to put even more pressure on this game. I really hope Luton win just to make this game extra spicy. But I worry a little bit for Everton because after that 6-0 defeat at Chelsea, I'm not sure they're going to get the best out of Goodison in this game. I think they're going to get short shrift from the fans, and there's going to be a lot of groans when they give the ball away and things like that. And I think it's going to be a difficult one, this one for Everton. They missed a big chance early on against Chelsea from point blank range from Beto, and then Chelsea go up the other end and score 6. They were missing Dominic Calvert-Lewin in that game. He could be back. Apparently, it was just a minor hamstring injury. I know he's had a lot of those, so it might just be Sean Dyche protecting him and just doing all he can to make sure that he's there at the end of the season. Everton have only had 1 win in 15, Ben. They always find a way, but 1 win in 15, that's serious relegation form, even without the points deductions and all of that stuff. Forest seemingly trying to draw their way to survival at the moment. No away win since Boxing Day for them. And they've got to play Manchester City and Chelsea at home. That's their final 2 home fixtures. So they've got to sort out that away form to make sure of survival. I think they probably need at least 1 away win, but I don't think they're going to get it here because I think it's going to be a score draw. I'm going for the Desmond here. Everton 2, Forest 2.
I don't know why. I think Everton are going to win. I know what you're saying about the, I heard some Everton fans on TalkSport on YouTube, really say, owner's not interested and the manager can only do so much and the deductions. But I do think they're going to get a reaction at home here. So I'm going to lock in, and sorry, Forest fans, especially given what Mikey said about some of those fixtures coming up. Let's go for it's Sean Dyche, so we're going to go 1-0, and let's go for Everton to get a really key win here. And I'm not saying that dooms Forest, by the way, but we'll talk about Luton and Forest as we go into the final weeks. Everton 1, Nottingham Forest 0, and it's Aston Villa. Heroes or villains, however you look at it, of the last round. But no doubt, a brilliant win for Villa at Arsenal, wasn't it? Aston Villa versus Bournemouth.
Yeah, it was the perfect away performance, wasn't it? And as I mentioned, without Douglas Luiz as well, such an important player in midfield for them. It looks like top 4 is going to be needed to guarantee being in the Champions League again now. A week ago, it looked like finishing the top 5 would be enough, but yeah, it's gonna be tricky. If I think it's probably top 4 or you miss out as it stands. That puts a bit of extra pressure on Aston Villa's shoulders, and they're obviously playing on Thursday night against Lille as well. And again, they're without Douglas Luiz. He's only had 3 less yellow cards this season than Sam Morsy, incidentally. Watkins is only behind Haaland and Palmer on 19 goals. He's scored the most goals from open play this season. I think I've mentioned this a few times as well. He's looking to become the first Villa striker to score 20 goals in a Premier League season. I think he's pretty nailed on to do that. He might even do it in this game against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are mid-table, but I wouldn't say that they're on the beach. They were unlucky not to win against Manchester United last week, and they've got loads to be optimistic about. They've been very entertaining since probably about match week 10 onwards. They've been really entertaining to watch. Some crazy games that they've been involved in, and some really good, exciting young players. But that being said, I'm expecting a raucous Villa Park here. I'm expecting Villa to get through in Europe as well, which will just add to the feel-good factor. And I'm going to back them to follow that up with a 3-1 win.
I've got both teams to score as well. So you've left it open for a 2-1 for me, Mikey. Again, Bournemouth along with Wolves. Maybe it's the Gary O'Neill link of just surprised me in the best way so many times this season. But I just think if you're Villa now and you had your bit of a wobble and the home form went a bit, didn't it? And you get that win at Arsenal, and you're just set for the rest of the season, aren't you? I think that plays into it, and I think Villa are going to finish strong. So I'll go Aston Villa 2, Bournemouth 1. Before we get to Crystal Palace, West Ham, Mikey, coincidentally enough, Crystal Palace v West Ham is the free game on Sunday on Match Bingo. And my lights are not going to allow you to see that unless I do some ridiculous angle in there. But go and head over to the Match Bingo app where you can claim your free card. I'm going to do it right in front of everybody's faces now. And there we go. You should be able to see you can see the West Ham badge there if I angle that. And right above that, Mikey, as well, is another freebie card for bingos on Saturday. There's no Premier League games in that. That's just first team to score. And you get a lovely little row of EFL badges in there. Oh, no, you have got Premier League team. Excuse me. Because I can see Burnley at the top. That may not be great for my card, but they are at Sheffield United, as we've already discussed. If you want to win the big money, though, you will have to pay to play. We'll be doing that on all the watch-along games. And I believe by the time this has gone out, we're talking about Leicester and West Brom on Sunday. No comment. And I think we're doing Blackburn, Sheffield Wednesday. That rings a bell. And then I don't know whether we're going to make Middlesbrough Leeds, but you can certainly play that on Monday on Match Bingo. So go and get involved. Let the lovely guys at Match Bingo know that Mikey and I have sent you, even if you're going to play the free card on Bingos or Palace West Ham, which we're about to talk about on the predictions show. And do remember, even though this is silly, fun bingo, it is gambling. So you must promise me wholeheartedly that you're going to please play responsibly. Head over to Match Bingo, and I've hyped it up. Crystal Palace v West Ham, Mikey. You bloody love Crystal Palace, and they went to Liverpool and won 1-0. What a result!
Yeah, incredible win. They started so well in that game, and they scored a fantastic goal. One of the goals of the season for Crystal Palace by some distance, I think. Elise and Eze on the pitch together has made a huge difference. But it'll be music to your ears, Ben, that the standout player in that game was Simon Wharton, the former Blackburn midfielder. Still a teenager, isn't he? He's really looking the part, and he did not look out of place in that midfield at Anfield against the likes of Alexis McAllister and Szoboszlai and Endo and all of these fantastic
midfielders.
Just
for the comments, Mikey, Adam Wharton, not Simon Wharton. You will
Adam
make
Wharton.
people cry. His brother is Scott Wharton, who still plays for Blackburn.
So I didn't even get his brother's name. Yeah. Accuracy
but
is
what
everything.
A great player, anyway.
Yeah,
David
Wharton,
Diamond
a fantastic
special,
player.
Yeah.
They'll hope to enjoy the run-in now, Palace, and Glasner can start to introduce a few more of his methods as well, because it's sort of been slow evolution rather than revolution. Just because they've won at Liverpool doesn't mean he's going to be a guaranteed success, but I think it's going to be easier for him now to start implementing things now they're pretty much guaranteed to be safe. West Ham losing after chasing the ball for 90 minutes against Leverkusen last Thursday wasn't a huge shock. I predicted that one, and I think it's going to be difficult for them after probably having to do the same for much of this Thursday night as well. And they've got no Jared Bowen either, and he's such a miss for them. You never know with David Moyes, but I fancy Palace to get back-to-back wins for the first time under Glasner. I think Simon Wharton's going to have another stormer in midfield. But no, I'm going to go for Palace to win this one 2-1.
You know, whenever there's brothers that play football, people, they love to set up the myth, don't they? Oh, you do realise the Wallace brothers and whoever, Letizier's brother, you do realise his brother was better. Everyone loves to say that. Maybe there is a Simon Wharton there, who's the third brother, who's actually, in mythical football speak, better than both of them. But this stinks of a draw to me, Mikey. I guess you're a bit higher on Palace after the weekend, but just feels like a take a point, David Moyes, evenly matched given It's an away game for West Ham. So I am going to dial in. I haven't had a 1-1 yet. I can't believe it. I've gone all this way through without my favourite scoreline when I clearly don't know what I'm doing. So I'm going to go Palace 1, West Ham 1, which brings us to the final Premier League game before we do these FA Cup semi-finals. It's Fulham versus Liverpool.
Yeah, and Liverpool look like they're starting to tire, don't they? In the title race, and poor finishing has let them down once again. They lead the league now for big chances missed with 66, which roughly translates as to a game. So that's 2 big chances they're creating and missing. So they've got to sort that out. Diogo Jota being back might help with that. They've also got Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's now going to be playing right back because Bradley went off injured. Perhaps now they'll start getting more crosses into the box, but yeah, they've really got to take their chances. Who knows? They might be coming off the back of another famous European comeback at Atalanta going into this game, but I doubt it. I think that all focus now is going to be on the Premier League and trying to get ahead of Manchester City again before their next fixture. Fulham had a fantastic win, as we mentioned, at West Ham. They've got some exciting players there, and they've been really well coached this season. They're a little bit more open at home, which I think will help Liverpool here. I'm predicting lots of goals. I think Liverpool are going to create loads of chances. They're going to miss some, but I'm backing them to score some as well. I'm going for Fulham 2, Liverpool 4.
Would you like a bonus point for that, Mr. Pension
I
Smith?
will take my bonus point there, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'll be very deserving of it if you do get a wonderful 4-2. I was thinking both teams to score and a Liverpool win. I'm not going to be quite as bold as you are. So I will, do you know what? I'll take 1 goal off each side on your prediction, and I will go for a 3-1 Liverpool to get back to it, although they might just be teasing us for the emotional Jurgen Klopp Premier League win exit. But hey, we'll talk about Man City in a minute anyway. Fulham 1, Liverpool 3. And here we go to the FA Cup semi-finals. Manchester City versus Chelsea, Mikey.
Yeah, Manchester City seems to be hitting their stride as they always seem to at this time of the season. But of course, they do have Real Madrid at home in midweek in the Champions League, and that's going to be whatever happens. I think that game is going to take a lot out of them. Is the FA Cup a priority for Manchester City? No. Does that really matter? Probably not, because the type of players that they can bring in the rotation, as we saw against Luton, the like of Nunes and Kovacic and Rico Lewis and all of those players, they've got so many options. Gvardiol's started scoring screamers now as well, which is an interesting turn of events for Manchester City and is giving them an extra dimension. Kyle Walker is almost back now. He might even play against Real Madrid, against Vinicius. Chelsea, on the other hand, are just incredible fun, aren't they? They go and beat Everton 6-0. Everything clicks, but it's completely overshadowed by squabbling over who's going to take a penalty kick, and that becomes the narrative. Poor Pochettino, just can't catch a break over there, can he? But this is their season. This is the biggest game that they have left, unless of course they get through it and into the final. And I think their fans are going to be bang up for it because they're going to see themselves as the underdogs. Manchester City, on the other hand, might have a little bit of a hangover from midweek. So I'm going against the grain. I'm going to go for Chelsea to upset Manchester City in a big game, just as they did in the Champions League final a few years ago. I'm going for Chelsea to win 3-2.
Wow. I'm tempted to give you just another bonus point for that.
You can give, how about we call it a bonus point if it's 3-2 after normal time, after extra time, or they win 3-2 on penalties. How about that?
Okay, I'll give you that one for sure. Was it Man City, Man United final last season as well?
It was, the Gundogan final.
Yeah, right. I mean, you've taken the fun prediction, so maybe I can just take the open goal and predict Man City like I do every single week. I like the narrative, and I think you're right. I think Chelsea are quite a dangerous opponent, especially because when Man City play Real Madrid, it's like they're like the only team they ever play who aren't scared of them, aren't they? And it's probably like I'm going to use a wrestling analogy. It's like when the Undertaker goes against Kane, it's the only guy he's as tall as, and that's interesting to see someone as tall as Manchester City, but I'm still going to back them to win because you've taken Chelsea, and maybe we know where my bonus point's going in about 2.5 minutes' time. But let's just go for it to be boringly routine for Man City. Man City 2, Chelsea 0. And here come Coventry, everybody, in the Cup semi-final. Coventry versus Man United. Can they do it?
Yeah, brilliant to see Coventry in the FA Cup semi-final, and yeah, they've been quite frequent visitors to Wembley over the last few years. Of course, this would be Ipswich Town playing in the FA Cup semi-final. Ben, if only we could have got past Maidstone in the third round. I'm joking, of course. It's been a fantastic run from Coventry. Unfortunately, they've lost their last 2 games going into it, so they don't have great momentum. And I know that they've got some injuries, and they've also got a suspension to Casey Palmer for running onto the pitch in the celebrations for that winning goal in the game against Wolves. Whereas Diallo was sent off for taking his shirt off or part of his celebration, but for some reason that has been rescinded. So he's able to play for Manchester United, but Casey Palmer unable to play for Coventry. Manchester United still all over the place, and then Coventry will cling to that. Pressure is very much on them, and Eric Ten Hag, maybe he needs to get to a final to save his job. I think he's going to live to fight another day because I can see this being tight, and I can see Coventry having their moments, but I think Manchester United are just going to edge it, almost out of pure desperation, and they're going to win this one 2-1.
Are you ready for the removal of all logic and sensible, considered thinking? I have nothing to say other than it'd just be really great if Coventry got to the cup final, wouldn't it? Because when I was growing up, they would always show Coventry beating Spurs and Keith Houchin scoring a diving header as one of the big cup upsets and one of the great cup finals. And so I've always kind of had Coventry in the cup final as a thing. Are they going to beat Man United? Probably not. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it defensively, aren't they? They're going to have to shut them out. It's not going to be. I know Coventry had that kind of game against Wolves, didn't they? Where they came back right at the last minute. I don't think it's going to go a freak show like that. So I think they'd either 0-0 them and then beat them in extra time, or 1-0 them. So I think I deserve the bonus point, whatever, being it's Coventry versus Manchester United. So for the underdog.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to lock in, like they did in the playoff semi-final against Middlesbrough. Obviously, it's a bigger difference between the quality of the teams, but I will go for Coventry 1, Manchester United 0. There we go. A bit of a mixture, everybody, this week. You've got 7 Premier League to do. You've got 2 FA Cup. Get involved down there in the comments. The scores are as follows. If you get the right outcome, home, away, draw, etc., give yourself a point. If you get the right scoreline, harder than it looks, all you people who like to comment after the fact, give yourself 3 points. Give yourself a bonus point for anything over a 5-goal prediction or a nice underdog like I've done on Coventry versus Manchester United. And the normal rules are predictions in before the games, and being wise after the event is not advised if you haven't put your own predictions in. Last word from you, Mikey.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, for us, it's a weekend as the neutrals, isn't it? Our club aren't playing, so we can just relax and enjoy the football. I'm hoping that Liverpool and Arsenal bounce back just to reignite that title race again. And I'd also quite like to see Luton put the cat amongst the pigeons at the bottom by winning as well.
Give me some carnage, some ignition. I want to sing Ignition by R. Kelly now, but you're not allowed to sing R. Kelly anymore, are you?
No.
Now, I'm not trying. Now, you might see a YouTuber with millions of subscribers and views a week driving a Bentley. It's a bit more modest, I have to say, when you're covering the Championship. So if you can find a few quid each month to support over on Patreon or by hitting the join button here, you are making the world of difference for myself, Shaylee, and Enid.